Hello there, you well endowed listeners. My name is Aaron,
I'm Nave.
And I am Tony.
and this is Super Pod Saga. For any of you first time listeners, this is the podcast where Tommy and I talk about a different topic every episode, and we'll discuss the hell out of that topic until there's nothing at all left to say about it. Normally it's Tommy and I talking about these topics, but Tommy can't be here with us today. He fell through the TV trying to grab a sub off of a Jersey Mike's commercial, and he's trapped inside the TV. We'll worry about him another time. We'll get him out of there eventually. But today we have some awesome guests with us to keep me company, so I don't freak out. We have Nave with Gaming Together podcast. How are you, dude?
I talked enough already about how I am.
Yeah, about the Halo and 343. Yeah. Then we have a first time guest with us today, Tony. How are you doing, man?
Besides my dog barking, I'm fine.
Oh, I didn't even hear him barking.
You don't
Damn.
hear him? Oh, that's good. That means this mic's good.
Well, yeah, man. Go ahead and tell us all about yourself and your podcast and what's happening with you.
I do a little show called PlayStation Rumble with two other people. We're currently on a mini hiatus because we record ahead of time, so we take a little break. But yeah, it's a good time. We just cover PlayStation games from the PS1 to current era, and yeah, check us out.
The PlayStation One had some of the best. Well, yeah, had some of the best and probably goofiest games ever. I love that goddamn thing so much.
I kind of prefer the PS2 era just because there's so much weird shit on there
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So
There was a lot of
I think
weird
it's my, I
ones
think
on
it's my
there.
defining generation, even though I grew up more with the PS1. But
I like the PS2 better because it has that little drug stash compartment where you can hide your weed from your dad.
Well, yeah, Tony, you're our guest of honor today. What the hell are we going to talk about this episode?
disappointing games.
It's all good, man. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Disappointing games that really built themselves up and then fell flat on their face, just were not that good. Since you're our guest of honor, go ahead with your first one whenever you're ready.
Let me start with, I want to say Silent Hill Homecoming.
Oh,
I'm a pretty big
Glad
fan
we
of
could
the
talk about
series.
this.
I'm a pretty big fan of this franchise, and this I think the ones after 3 or 4, they were hit or miss, and I like almost all of them. This is easily my least favorite. I think it's mainly the combat. They try to add like Silent Hill is not too much about the combat. The whole point of Silent Hill was really to avoid the combat. And this one, they try to add like dodge rolling, and I guess the guy he was like a Marine, right, or something like that. He's from the army, and so they try to have him like do combat, like actual combat styles, and it just didn't work. And it was more frustrating than fun. And plus, the game is glitchy as fuck.
yeah.
I remember at one point I got stuck behind a door and I had to restart the entire chapter because I just couldn't get out.
Nice.
Silent Hill Homecoming is interesting because I played my first experience with Silent Hill was Silent Hill 4: The Room on an Xbox demo disc, and so I remember being in that apartment and going through the hall and going, "Wow, this combat's terrible," and then going back into the apartment, just chilling in there and being like, "This is cool. This is a cool spooky vibe. I like being in here." And so Silent Hill Homecoming was my actual first Silent Hill game to play in its entirety. And so I had no experience with anything else, obviously, and I had a lot of fun with the game rather than like, I mean, the combat sucked balls, but I was like, okay, this is cool as far as like a scary game is concerned. But I've been long dissociated with scary games. I think the last time I was really scared during a game was playing Condemned Criminal Origins, and that was only like there was one jump scare that got me, and I was like, wow, I haven't been jump scared in a long time. These games turn into like arcade games for me, and I just tried to speed run the game and find all of the different endings, and that was kind of my experience rather than bask in the environment or anything. I pretty early on was like, this is dumb, but I spent my very few high school kid bucks on this game, so I'm gonna play this fucking game.
Kid books. That's all right. Yeah, there's a dude I watch on YouTube, Nitro Rat, who does a lot of reviews and deep dives on Silent Hill games. That one and Downpour were two of like the jankiest ones I've seen so far, but they do have
Yeah.
some pretty good stories at least, which
Thing
is
is,
like
though, I actually really like Downpour. Surprisingly, had a little like mini quests you could do, and then it was like puzzles and like whole stories around them. So there was some cool aspects about it, and it was also like kind of like it was like kind of like a half open world, and you could explore the environments and stuff. It was a really cool concept. A lot of people don't like it, but I actually, again, the combat was terrible, but everything else surrounding it, I really dug.
I actually didn't beat Downpour. I tried like 3 times, and there's like a part where you have to run away from something, and it kills you instantly. And I'm like, this is my least favorite kind of mechanic in
Oh,
any video game
yeah.
is instant death, have to restart. I'm like, I don't know.
I think
I had Halo and Rock Band and Guitar Hero at that point. I was like, I need to play those games.
I think that actually came from what was like the Shattered Memories. I think had that like a chase scenes, and I think they borrowed that from that. And I think that
yep.
was kind of a bad move, but it had some really cool set pieces. Downpour that from what I remember. So
Was it Homecoming that had the more like combo-y combat, or was that I get that and Downpour mixed up.
Downpour, I
I
think had
remember
like
one
breakable
had
weapons. But I think
that sounds
yeah,
right.
Homecoming was the one where the guy could like do dodged, and you had enemies that would block, and you'd have to like parry around them. Only
Yeah,
it
you had
didn't
to
really
block.
work too
That's
well, and it
right.
was more frustrating than anything. And
That
it
sounds
also like
right.
borrowed a lot of ideas from like the movie, like the transition into Silent Hill, but kind of just like burns up. It borrowed that from
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah, and some of the cult things, like the costumes the cult members wore, were similar to like the gas masks in Silent Hill in the movie. So, I
that
mean,
would
it
be
wasn't
fucked.
all bad.
Right
It
on.
looked, I mean, it wasn't all bad. It was just, I guess, at that point there was so much hype behind the series that it kind of just it was new to developers too, right? It wasn't Team Silent completely. It was
Yeah.
like it was a Western thing too, so it felt like they carried more. They try to emulate what people liked about the series instead of trying to do their own thing.
From what I know about it, they were also brand new to the whole, I guess, to that engine. I forget if it was Unreal Engine or if it was something else, but they were totally brand new to using that engine and just didn't know how to work it, and hence all the bugs and all the game
Yeah,
breaking.
the PS360 era was always kind of jank.
What'd you have for your first one, Dave?
This might come to a surprise for people who weren't around for the release of this game, but I'm gonna say Rock Band 4. Rock Band 4 was a unbelievable and unfathomable disappointment when it first came out. It took many years for that game to reach a state where people were happy with it. It took 2.5 years, I think, just so that there was online multiplayer. And still to this day,
Really,
you can't play online with more than one person on the same console. So you would have to have multiple copies of Rock Band in one house so that you could play online with some friends, unless you wanted to sing harmonies, but most people don't like singing. Everyone wants to play the drums. Now the most disappointing thing about Rock Band 4 is that the instruments all cost $400 and they're never going to remake any of them because the game is such a small niche community now. But whenever the game first came out, Rock Band was very it was very forward thinking in the 360 PS3 generation where all of the games DLC moved forward with you. And their idea was to move all of the DLC from the 360 generation to the Xbox One or PS3 to PS4. They wanted to make that generational leap, but that the technological and legal strife that they had figuring all of that out resulted in many years where a lot of DLC just never made the jump. And there was an entire section of DLC called the Rock Band Network where those were it was official DLC, but it wasn't made by Harmonix. They were usually charted by other people. The Rock Band Network didn't make it at all, and that's where almost all of the best metal and like different niche genres came from. A lot of foreign music and stuff like that. A lot of instrumental music, which obviously Harmonix never wanted to do because of the vocals. But Harmonix has now started re-releasing Rock Band Network songs every other week or every 3 weeks, so that they can give their very short staff a little bit of leniency, like a little bit of leeway. They just re-upload those Rock Band Network songs. So Rock Band 4 is in a decent place right now if you want a karaoke machine. But whenever it first came out, holy hell, it was really painful.
It does sound painful.
I think the last Rock Band I played was like 2 or 3, so I didn't know it got that bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, the last one I played for sure was 3.
the reason why, because when the Xbox One was first coming out, I didn't make the generational jump at first, and I was planning on getting a PS4 because of all of the notorious Xbox One shenanigans that were happening. And when Rock Band 4 got released, they said that all the DLC was going to move forward, but they won't go across systems. Like you have to be in the same family of consoles. So I was like, I have to get an Xbox. I got an Xbox One because of Rock Band, and when it released, it didn't have the DLC. The reason why I got an Xbox to get Rock Band was to play that DLC. So that's the biggest disappointment that I felt probably in all of gaming.
And they limited online play to 2 players. That's really weird.
Well, you can have 4 people, the guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, but you can only have one person per console.
That's really
So
strange.
stupid.
Yeah,
I remember
sucks.
on the fucking PS3, it would be like me, my friend, 2 of my friends, and then we play someone online who's doing vocals. So it's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
That this was in like I guess the PS4 and Xbox One generation that they neutered it like that. That's really strange.
Yeah, the game released with a lot of missing features and a lot of really weird hamstrung things that I assume are just tied to the engine, like that are just there's so much spaghetti code involved in fixing it that they just gave up. And as of now, Harmonix got purchased by Epic and they've been folded into the Fortnite team. So we're lucky to be getting music like releases weekly at all. So I'm not like I would love for Epic to like make a short run of more instruments just to get them out there, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think we're getting a Rock Band title again.
Yeah, I kind of regret getting rid of my old guitars because like my old apartment, me and my roommate, we had like 2 or 3 in the closet. We moved out. We kind of just left them there, and now they're like hella expensive. So especially the dongles. So I kind of really regret leaving them.
Yeah, especially if they were 360 ones.
Speaking of spaghetti, the first one on my list is Evolve. Do you guys remember that piece of shit?
Yeah, I was alright.
The one with like it was like 5 players and one player played a monster.
Yeah, 4 people were hunters and one was a monster.
I remember.
mean-
I never played it, but I remember. I remember when it was released.
Evolve crawled so that Dead by Daylight could walk, if we're really going to be honest with ourselves.
Basically, Evolve. When I pre-ordered that basically like as soon as it was announced. I forget, it was such a long time ago, but I pre-ordered it, and I remember like day one there was a lot of paid DLC, and I mean you didn't really get anything for free, but yeah, at first the game was pretty all right because like what different hunters had different classes and different play styles. Like there was the trapper who was meant to like I guess keep the monster still or keep them from running away. There was like the main damage dealer, I forget what they were called, and then there was like a healer and stuff like that. And then the monster would just, or I guess the hunters would track down the monster based on like their like footprints, or if there were like bodies of animals they'd eaten, and like the monster would just go around the map and like eat things to grow and then gain powers and shit like that. And basically just try overpower the humans over time. But and yeah, on paper it's a sweet concept, and when it was done right, like when both sides were equally matched, it was awesome. But oftentimes it'd be either the monster would get cornered entirely too early by the hunters somehow, and they would just completely fucking puppy guard the monster from getting what it needs to evolve. You know, the namesake of the goddamn game. They would puppy guard all of the different little points where you could eat monster or not monsters or animals and keep her from leveling up and everything. And then at times it would be the monster would just be like across the map, and it would just become way too powerful way too quickly, and then the hunters don't stand a chance. And on top of that too, there was just way too fucking much paid DLC for a game that you already paid like full price for, full price of $60. They had all sorts of different like unlockable hunters that you had to pay for, and different maps you had to pay for, different like monsters you had to pay for. And unless you pre-ordered the game, you only had maybe like two monsters because the other ones you had to pay like real ass money for.
I remember that. I never played it, but I remember people were like, "Yeah, it's boring already because we figured out how to kill the monster in
Mm.
like 3 seconds."
Yeah, it's so
It sounds to
dumb.
me like they were going for like the League of Legends model, which was really successful at the time and still is currently really successful.
And what's really stupid too is eventually they went free to play, basically probably to try to get people to buy more DLC. They went free to play, and even still their player base just kept dwindling down more and more. Just
I think by then, like Dead by Daylight and the Friday 13th game was out already, so people already moved on to like more interesting properties.
yeah, and fucking Overwatch came out maybe like a year after that as well too. That really stuck the nail in the coffin for it. Eventually they just closed down the servers, and then that was it. And that's Evolve. It's just now you can buy a copy of the game that's totally used like Battleborn. You can buy a copy of that game for like $1 because it's worthless and nobody wants it. Rip Evolve.
I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
I don't know if everyone remembers this. The Bionic Commando reboot in like 2009.
Yeah, on the 360.
I think so.
Yeah, at the time, Capcom was like trying to reboot a lot of series, and they made this. They remade the original Bionic Commando called Rearmed, and it was awesome. And they did it to hype up the remake or the reboot, which wasn't as awesome. No, in 2009, they had like the brooding big guy stereotype. It was pretty much that. Only he had a hook for an arm, like a slingshot for an arm, a grappling hook rather, and it was pretty generic. It has a big following right now, but he has a swinging mechanic, which is the whole point of Bionic Commando. He has a hook and he can swing around, but they limit it so much to where like invisible walls around. So if you flung through them, you just die, and it was really unfortunate because when you're able to freely swing around, it was really fucking fun. But a lot of times you swing too far, and it's like you're gone too far. If you don't go back in like the next 3 seconds, you're dead, and you're just dead. And the combat itself was, think of Spider-Man, kind of you just kind of knowing like Spider-Man games, you fling the web and you fly and you jump off of enemies and stuff like that. It did stuff like that. I mean, the combat was just okay, but the game itself, like the mechanic itself of the flinging around and everything, was just poorly implemented and poorly designed. Like it should have been more open, but instead it was just very linear and to the point where it just really hurt the game of what could otherwise been a fun little game. And plus the story was just stupid, but that's besides the point.
Nomad Hazard, which is a good game. You guys should. I guess you guys don't know Nomad Hazard, but like it's a good game. So it's just a fucking parody game. It's not as funny as it used to be, but because a lot of it is poking fun at how it's Eat Lead, the Return of Matt Hazard. A lot of it's making fun of kind of like how video game. You just looking at the box art, you can tell
Yeah, dude.
it's a very silly fucking video game.
Was that the one of Will Arnett?
I have no idea. I just remember that I enjoyed the game.
I'm looking it up right now. I hope Will Arnett is in this because that seems like a pretty Will Arnett
Yes,
thing.
he played Return of Matt Hazard. That's one for Will Arnett. He voices Matt Hazard. I played that back in the day. Has Will Arnett and
Oh yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, dude, the dream team. Holy fucking shit. Those are my boys. I can see it now. I'm looking at the box art and I can picture Will Arnett's gruff, like gristly voice from the Reese's commercials. Dude, oh my god. Speaking of Reese's, Nave,
I got Reese's right here next to me.
smush one through the camera for me, please.
I guess so.
Wait, did you say Reese's or Reese's?
Reese's.
Good. Tony, do you say Reese's or Reese's?
Reese's.
Well, here's the
Okay,
problem.
good.
When I say Reese's, and then if it's Reese's Pieces, I say Reese's Pieces
No,
because I don't know why, but I've always done that.
I No, no, they're Reese's
I
Pieces.
know.
Goddamn it,
I just said I don't know
this is a
why.
Reese's Pieces
I
home.
say Reese's,
No.
and then
I
Reese's
see
Pieces.
Reese's Pieces. I don't see Reese's.
It seems more
I don't
fun.
think.
What's your next pick? Let's get away from this before I become
My
hostile.
next pick made me hostile, and it was Mass Effect Andromeda. This was the last video game
Ooh.
that I pre-ordered on pure blind faith, and now I'm one of the most anti-pre-order motherfuckers that you'll ever see online. Always wait, everyone. Wait for the reviews. Wait for the everything, the smoke to settle, because this game physically wounded me to the point where I took like 2 or 3 days off work because I wanted to play this game and no life it, and I took an extra day off of work because I was so upset about it. Because Mass Effect was so important to me. And I couldn't believe it just seemed like such a slam dunk. I couldn't believe how terrible this fucking game was. And the slap in the face that EA just kind of was like, okay, we're done. It like this is it's no sunk cost fallacy here. We're fucking done with this shit. There seems to be a lot of people who enjoy this game nowadays, and that's fine and all. But this game really suffered from modern AAA game design. And it was indicative of what was to come from BioWare and EA and Ubisoft and all of these things. It's this soulless husk of uh, devoid of all creativity style of fucking gameplay of open world
They
gameplay.
want money. They just want
It just
money.
it's a give me more money. Here's an IP that you recognize. Move, and I don't know. I just don't trust BioWare anymore. There were three studios that could never do wrong. Bungie, BioWare, and Bethesda. And two of them have fucking scorned me. One of them has mostly scorned me. With Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, when they both first released, I was very fucking upset at those, and those ended up becoming, great at the end. But
God, yeah.
Mass Effect never became anything. And this new one, I have absolutely no fucking faith. No faith.
I like the idea of a heartbroken Nave just curled up in a ball in his bed because of Mass Effect Andromeda, just like love hurts, love scar. I feel that though, because yeah, I played the 1 through 3 Mass Effect, and they were so fucking good. And then I had plans to buy Andromeda, but then it came out and it tanked. I remember seeing a bunch of videos about all the goofy like animation,
Yeah.
like character animations and shit, because like they would like their hips would move separately from their torsos, and it like looked like they're the fucking the big robot thing from RoboCop. I forget what it's called. Like just servos, like zoot 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 zoot, and just the weirdest fucking shit. What happened, Mass
One of
Effect?
the first lines of the game is "My face is tired." And that just became a fucking meme immediately because she looked so fucking stupid while she was like the whole aesthetic of everyone's faces were just so off. They had to patch their eyelids and the size of their pupils and shit because they all looked like they were coked up. And like the way that everyone's idle animation, like I remember I remember my game was downloading and I had already seen the gif of Ryder on the ground right at the beginning when you first wake up, and she's just like ah, oh, just looking around over and over again, and I'm like, this is what I'm downloading, huh? Like I'm sure this is just a bug. There's no way, but it's absolutely in the game, and it's still
Sounds awful.
currently right now in the year of our Lord 2023 in Mass Effect Andromeda, and so it's a I understand what happened because they tried to make No Man's Sky ish kind of like procedurally generated worlds, kind of like what it sounds like. Uh, what is that game? Stardew or whatever the fuck Bethesda's making right now. What they're trying to do, but in like halfway through development, they gave up on that shit. But this was not the first time BioWare had scorned me, and I'm sure, and it definitely wasn't the last. Hashtag I remember Anthem.
They made Anthem? I never knew that.
Yeah, hell yeah, they made it.
I think I just never cared enough about Anthem to look at it. So
God, those trailers made it look so fucking hype, dude. And then now it's permanently in the bargain bin for $5. Like they can't give that shit away. God, that sucks. Well, speaking of bargain bin, my next pick was Fallout 76. And I mean, it's good. It's all right now. I still haven't played it because I'm not a big MMO guy, but when this I loved I never played the first few Fallouts because I didn't have a fucking PC because I was a little
Nobody
fucking
did.
kid. But I loved Fallout. I loved Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and I didn't really care about 4 all that much. But Fallout 76, it sounded pretty cool, like the setting and everything like that. And then they said it was going to be an MMORPG, and I immediately lost interest because I don't care about MMOs. I just want experience where I go around potentially can murder any NPC I come across, or talk them into giving me a gun, or talk them into maybe giving me some money, or like their daughter, or like their house or something, or picking their pockets. Dude, that's just give me a traditional fucking Fallout experience, man. I don't want to play with other people and compete to see who has the biggest, coolest plasma gun dick or whatever. I don't do MMOs, man. I don't know what it is, but I still haven't played Fallout 76. I'm sure it's great now, but I ain't doing it. Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't either. So
I played it, but then someone started following me, so I just quit. Like literally, I just
Someone
started and
started
I was walking
following
around and
me.
someone started following me. And I don't know if they're trying to help me or they were chasing me. I just ran and I got scared, so I closed the fucking game.
You're just frantically hitting the escape button, like, get
Yeah, I was
out!
just like, I don't
Get
know what you
out!
want.
In my
I don't want
house!
it. And I left.
the wilderness and RuneScape.
I don't like
Holy shit.
competition. So
Unless it's with VATS, so you can like stop time and like blow their head
yeah, like
apart, but
unless it's
not with real
following New
people.
Vegas, I'm fine. But in an MMO, I don't want to be fucking followed. I'm just trying to figure everything out. No, thank you.
And Fallout 4 was already overwhelming enough with like the base building and then all these different like people you could recruit always coming up to you like, hey, like we gotta save this fucking settlement, or like, hey, I want to go find my fucking dog again or some shit, or like I want to play the game at my pace. You son of a bitch. I don't care about any of this other stuff. Just let me wander through this goddamn wasteland and get fucking murdered by scorpions and cockroaches and shit. And
Or
just let me
eating
live my
Eating
life.
a rotten Reese's.
Yeah, that'd kill me for sure. Fucking I don't know who started Reese's, but like I guess that's fine. But like you would never pronounce the word pieces like pieces. Whoever started that, you're wrong. It's pieces. It's clearly spelled pieces. There's one E at the end. Don't do it again, because I'll find you.
I think I'm
Who's
next.
next?
Uh,
Okay.
Let me jump up a bit. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh,
That
damn.
is the most next gen game I played when I first played it. Because when I first got my PS5, it was just that robot game and whatever fucking free games I got from the PlayStation Plus that were PS5 compatible or PS5 enhanced. And so, I heard bad things about it, but I was like, I really liked The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2. I'm like, okay, it can't be that bad. And it's not bad, it's just mediocre. Like it looks great. The hand animations is great, the environment's great. It's the worst kind of open world where at one point, these gates you have to it's gates you have to open in a sense that you have to free them. I can't remember can't remember what they fucking call it. Exact
Like
kind of
exercise or
is they have
like
a term for it. I'm fucking stupid right now. I can't think of what it is. What you had to do, but you had to. I guess there's these gates around. You have to kind of like towers in Ubisoft games, kind of like that. You go to them, and then the first few is fine. There's like 4 or 5 around, and at one point, it's like, okay. Here's 16, and you get to watch like a minute as like 16 of them pop on your map everywhere. And then there's like
ugh.
little quests you can go on. These like cats. They're like, okay, do these quests for me, and you do these quests, but there's like 15 of them scattered around this giant map, and there's these spirits you have to capture to gain experience and level everything up. But only there's like a couple thousand of them. You get to fucking run around the city to get, and it was just such a disappointment because Evil Within 2 had an open world, and it was done really well because it was more condensed and it was done so fucking well. I was like, okay, if they had just cut all of this in half and had a more condensed environment, it would have been a lot better. And plus, the last 2 acts of the game are a half hour combined. So there's only like 5 chapters, I think, or 6 chapters. The last 2 take like 15 minutes each to complete. So it was just such a letdown. And plus, the combat became very repetitive. And, it's not the follow up of Evil Within that I wanted.
Is that first person or
it was
third
first
person?
And it was done, like I said, it's like the aesthetics, the environments, the graphics, and everything like that is done really well. It's just they stuck. It's like a Japanese developer looked at a Ubisoft game, like the worst possible kind of open world environment game, and just said, "Okay, let's copy that," and they copied it, and it just did not work. It was just so, and I platinumed it because I hate myself, but yeah, massively disappointing.
Was the just like bland and
It
more
was
empty than anything?
but it looks really, really nice. And there's a few moments. There's some quests you go on that are pretty cool, but it just all gets recycled in a sense that there's really nothing after the first couple of hours. There's really nothing else besides beating the game, and the game's also, I think, it's also fairly short. And like I said, the last like 2 chapters are not even a half hour long, like combined. So you can just rush through it and just finish that shit in no time, and you're like, it's over. But the story's not that great either. But like I said, it's just very disappointing from the Evil Within games are great. This was not, and this was almost an Evil Within 3. So I'm kind of glad that it wasn't, because I would just be mad.
And the screenshots that I'm seeing do look really cool because everything is just super neon, or like some of the enemies look kind of gnarly. Like
They borrow it. It's a lot of it comes from like the Japanese folklore, and it's really cool at first. Then you just see the same like 6 or 7 enemies the entire for the rest of the game.
that sucks.
I don't know. I'll know when it releases sometime this year on Xbox. I mean, I still haven't played Deathloop, so I mean, I don't. Maybe I won't play it this year.
Well, fuck, man. What do you got next, Nave?
Let's see. I guess I'm just gonna continue shitting on Bethesda for a little while. Well, no, never mind. Let's. I'm gonna kickflip back to BioWare. Fuck BioWare. Dragon Age 2. Holy balls! This game really fucking stabbed right into my rib cage, right into my lungs. I had to get an air pump for a fucking football. I had to fix myself up so that I can recover from what the travesty that what. So Dragon Age Origins is one of the best Western RPGs that have ever been made. And I know a lot of people that's I don't know, that might be a hot take, but I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people that are there with me. Dragon Age Origins is something that can be replayed in so many different varied ways, and it can be broken in so many awesome ways, and that's exactly why a lot of people play Western RPGs to begin with, is to fucking break them. That's why Skyrim is one of the most popular games, and why Oblivion was blowing the fucking sales charts and everything. And Dragon Age Origins, or Dragon Age 2, is just Dynasty Warriors with a conversation system, right? And sex scenes. That's it.
Yep.
They really emphasize the action combat, and the combat is, it's more intense, I guess, than Dragon Age Origins. But this was the first strike against BioWare that I felt in my heart. The second one, Mass Effect 3, and then, Mass Effect Andromeda, Dragon Age Inquisition. I have no idea how the fuck that there's Game of the Year editions. Who the fuck's giving Dragon Age Inquisition Game of the Year? Seriously. They need to look at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah, it was all right. It was really all right.
Reevaluate yourself.
I get what you're saying too, because I only played and beat Dragon Age 2 because it had such easy fucking achievements.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, I was a big old achievement hoe as well, and it's so dramatically different from Dragon Age. Because Dragon Age Origins is almost like an XCOM kind of thing. It's like a turn-based strategy almost. But then fucking, like you said, fucking Dynasty Warriors.
The thing is that Dragon Age Origins was more of a critical success than Mass Effect. I mean, Dragon Age Origins. What am I saying? Mass Effect was more of a critical success than Dragon Age, right? Dragon Age 2 took a lot of pointers from Mass Effect 3, which I think came out after this, but they were really trying to push the action as much as they could. And what they were doing was really just homogenizing these two very distinct and unique experiences. And while they were doing that, simultaneously watering down the role playing experience of Dragon Age. If they were going to make an action, if they were going to have these two games and make one an action RPG and make one an RPG, like a hardcore RPG, it would have been more correct to push Dragon Age further into the hardcore RPG and push Mass Effect into the action RPG with the guns and explosions and telekinesis and fucking alien bitches. And it's like, why did Dragon Age 2 had to suffer as well? And if, of course, it's money. It's EA, so it's money. But I don't know. It's so frustrating to me.
I get that because even the fucking skill trees in Dragon Age 2 were just really, really, really watered down. Because, like you said about Origins, there was you could customize the absolute piss out of your characters. You know, one, you could turn a fucking warrior into like 3 different versions of himself, or like with other classes. But in Dragon Age 2, it was just like, you're a mage, now you're a fire mage, and that's it. And then even the characters were like all right as well too. But yeah, Dragon Age 2 was a big pile of shit.
I avoided that one because I've heard so much negativity around it. I played the first one, but what I remember of the first one was when they start to exploit DLC, and you would talk to like a NPC, and it's like, please, help my daughter, save my daughter from this demon, and then it's like, you're like, okay, and it brings you to a fucking store page to buy the DLC, and it was just kind of funny to me.
I didn't know they did that with the first game. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I swear to God, I talked to some guy. He's like, well, save my daughter. I'm like, okay. Oh, but by the way, it's like, it costs $20. I'm like, no, thank you.
Your daughter's stuck in that cave. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. But I mean, I would have bought the DLC right away, so I guess that's why I wouldn't remember it if that's the case.
Dude, I'm one of those poor saps that bought into the Game of the Year edition for Dragon Age Inquisition because it came with this sweet like skeletal horse and like this throne made out of bones and shit like that, and it looked awesome. But then I played and I beat Dragon Age Inquisition, and it was.
You beat it?
It was. Yeah, it was alright.
How did it? I projectile vomited Family Guy style when I saw they had a Game of the Year edition releasing. I was like, in fucking what parallel universe do I need to atomic bomb? Like what fucking horrible place did that version spawn from?
I mostly only beat it because I think it was on sale for like $50 because normally it was some ridiculous amount, and I bought like this super special edition of it because I thought like if it's Game of the Year, it's got to be fucking good because I also had the Game of the Year edition for Fallout New Vegas, and then I bought it and I played it and I was like, well, this is okay, maybe it gets better toward the end, and then fucking
that was my experience with 2. It was like, there's no way it can be shit the whole time. Like, there's got to be one character that doesn't suck, right? And then no, the dwarf is cool, I guess. The dwarf with the crossbow.
Right, just give me like 1 minute. I gotta handle something. I'm sorry.
We're gonna fucking bitch about this game a little bit more, I guess. Oh man, Dragon Age Inquisition. What can I say? That, dude, I remember the specific moment where I got to like the 3rd biome. That game has hubs, but they're giant hubs, right? For the listener, and because you already obviously know. So I remember I got to that 3rd hub. It's like a desert area, and this giant empty world with a bunch of icons and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And so I go back to the castle. And I'm like, hey, can I like do the story, the shit that I want to do? Like, I want to experience that. And the game's like, no, you go out there and you get 3,000 power points, and you don't come back till you get those 3,000 power points. You better do those fetch quests. I'm like, why?
Oh my God,
I would be playing World of Warcraft if this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring someone 13 goblins foreskins, and I don't want to do that. Like, that's not what Dragon Age is. And like all of these like meaningless side content, side quests, they're not side quests if you have to do them. Like, I can't stress that enough. And a lot of games have moved away from this kind of content, but there are still a few out there where it's like, yeah, we have this, content that you don't have to do. That just means you don't have to do all of it, but you have to do a lot. Enough. It's just all it does is pad the game length and make me angry. Specifically me.
God damn it! All like the party members too were just butt fucking ugly, dude.
Yeah, game didn't look good. The biggest problem I had with Dragon Age 2 is that every single dungeon was just a copy paste version of itself. It felt like a roguelike in modern day, you know, where everything was just the same dungeon but just moved around a little bit. And that was fine in Oblivion, you know, but this was like way after Oblivion. Like we had figured out open world, right? Or at least to that point.
This was all action combat. I remember the combos being like the same fucking thing over
Yes.
and over and over. It'd be like the same like 4-hit combo, and then you throw in like your fucking super smash attack like at the end or something stupid like that.
What is it called? The like having a there's a phrase for like a very early skill set. It's usually for fighting games. Like having a combo that you learn early and that carries you throughout your experience. Like there's no reason to not use this one combo because it's easy to use and the damage is good enough. And that's kind of the thing that you fall into in this game. It's very similar to Dynasty Warriors, which is why I made that comparison, where you have one thing that you can do very easily, and like there's the ratio to effort to power is like way better than anything more complex, right? Why would you do the 360 kickflip Hadouken when you can just go XXA and then kill things a little bit faster?
Exactly right. I remember trying to play a spellcaster character in that because I forget. I think you could switch to other characters in your party, and I remember trying to switch to one of the spellcasters, and it was just so fucking slow, dude. It was molasses slow. It was just like, let me fire out this ice blast, and then it was definitely not as fun as like the main character I had was the double dagger thief kind of dude, and that was just so fast paced. And then switching to a fucking mage, it was just
Terrible.
the slowest shit ever. It was like watching Street Fighter 2 in slow motion. They were just like
Yeah, it's like one person's playing Street Fighter 2 and on the other side it's Soul Calibur.
yeah, much slower Soul Calibur. Dude, let's bitch about Ubisoft and talk about Watch Dogs because
I almost picked that one.
well, thank God I picked it because I pre-ordered that game like a fucking dum-dum because
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's like all the E3 trailers made it look so cool. They were like, it's photorealistic. Look at the wind blowing off this dude's fucking coat and into these trees, and like look at the fucking stoplights. You can hack them. You can hack them if you want to. They don't do anything, but you can hack them. And then I remember I had my apartment alone by myself for like a week straight, and that's all I did was played Watch Dogs. I was like, sure, because I was in the mindset again that surely it's got to get better toward the end, but it never did. It was like the gunplay was fucking stupid, the hacking was fucking stupid because you could hack people's phones and be like, his name's fucking Heathcliff Monroe, and he's a fucking banker at so and so bank, and he's a Scorpio, and he really likes Yoo-hoo, and anything you could hack was just it. You didn't need to, like, unless you were doing a mission. The hacking literally did not matter. Like, sure, you could hack an ATM and steal like fucking $14, but who cares? It literally didn't matter.
I just police chases, and you could just hide under a bridge, and they couldn't find you.
Oh yeah. The police were the AI, and
That's endemic of those games, I think, because I remember there's a Grand Theft Auto 4 achievement for being wanted for so long, and you just hide underneath. Go into the train track tunnel and just stand there for a while, and you get the achievement for free.
Yeah, but I mean, this was way worse to the point where like the police actively saw you. They just couldn't get you for some reason. And you just literally stand under the bridge, and they're just standing there until they eventually just go away.
the AI was super fucking stupid.
The same thing happened in Watch Dogs 2, which was a lot better, but it had the same thing where you're in a big police chase, just jump on a boat and go under the bridge, and they can't get you because reasons.
Yeah, dude, the bridge trolls are keeping them out. All them trolls.
Taxes are too damn high.
Oh, fucking the Always Sunny toll troll.
The boy's soul.
Dude, are you whole or soul? I'm glad you understood the reference. Nave, do you watch It's Always Sunny?
I've seen like 4 episodes, and I understand that it's really good. Everyone's like, skip the first season until Danny DeVito gets there, and I'm like, I think the first
No, the
season's
first
good.
season.
The
It is
the
good.
one where they go to the Woman's March. Holy shit. It's a really fucking funny episode. It's something that I need to watch, but I just don't watch TV like at all.
Oh, I watch TV a little too much, so
Same, same. I tend to watch like the same things over and over.
it gets sometimes it's the point where I have like 6 shows watching it. I have to watch at the same time, but then I forget, and then it's like 3 seasons later, and I'm like, oh,
I think
I'm the same way.
I think the Watchdog pick is interesting because this was probably a lot of people's first foray into fuck Ubisoft's open world games because they're all the same. And I had already been there. I had already been there in the 360 generation. I'd already started writing off Ubisoft games. I was like, I don't have the time for this. I want to play something that I can get some actual like meaningful content out of in a respectable amount of time. And whenever I did get Watch Dogs, I got it like maybe a year later. And I actually enjoyed the game a whole lot, but I probably played maybe 8 or 9 missions of the story. And then the rest of like the 8 hours I played the game, I played only online. And that game has an online multiplayer mode. Did you guys ever play that? Because
Oh, that actually was kind
yes,
of cool.
it
I did like that actually.
that's the one where like you could like hackers would invade your game and you have to
you
find them,
don't
right?
fight
Yeah,
them.
just hide and
You
seek.
don't fight them. You steal money from them. So it's
Yep.
not like Dark Souls where you have to kill each other. It's like you are hiding,
It's just
stealing
it's hide and
money.
seek
Yeah, it's
basically.
so funny.
It was so cool. You could hide
Yeah,
in
I think
like
I did it a few times. It was pretty cool. I think
yeah.
like I said, I spent more time playing Watch Dogs 2. I fucking love Watch Dogs 2. That had the same kind of thing. You like chasing down and shit. It was really cool.
Yeah,
How
and
they
in the first Watch Dogs, it was like a hot and cold kind of thing too. Like if you're getting
Yeah.
closer to them, you could tell, but like if you hid in just the weirdest fucking spots, they could never find you. Like I would always hide in what the fuck? There was this one time I was hiding in a shipyard, and of course there's just like this maze of fucking cargo containers or whatever, and I would just find the dumbest fucking spot. I wouldn't hide in the containers or on the containers. I would be on this little like dock, like kind of on the side below, and I'd just be fucking chilling there. And
I still have an Xbox clip because you could hack open garage doors and like be in the garage. And I have a clip where I was standing in the corner facing the corner, and a dude ran in, looked around the room, and then ran out the fucking garage. He didn't see me standing there, like with my back to him, and it's just so funny. I actually made a friend on Xbox, and who I played Halo with for a little while, Halo 5, and uh I I met him in Watch Dogs because I was in a car driving towards it. Because sometimes I would just do it and not hack them. I would just stalk them for a while, right? Like just fuck with them. So I was in a car and I was driving behind him, and he was running on the side of the street, and he turns around and I rear end the car in front of me, and he's just like staring, and I see him just looking right at me. And he's like, okay, whatever. And he starts walking off, and I start driving around him, and then he turns around again, and I stop in the middle of the intersection, and he just starts shooting my car up with an assault rifle, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm dead. And he sent me a message. He's just like, that was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen, because I was like, what is happening over there?
fuck, man, that was good stuff. That was the one good part about Watch Dogs. The main character was such a piece of shit too. I don't remember what the hell happened in the story, but like there was one
like
part where
his niece got, or his nephew or niece got kidnapped.
yeah, like there was one part where he was talking to like his.
It was something really like basic.
It really was like it was just come get your kid and bring us money. There were so many scenes where he'd be like talking to his sister like about her kid or whatever, and he was just like the biggest dickhole ever. He would be like, "Hey, fuck you! Like I'll get this fucking kid on my own time. Like I'll fucking do it or whatever." Like he was just a big douchebag.
It's unacceptable because Grand Theft Auto 4 existed at that point. So there was already a fucking structure they could have followed.
I mean, didn't Grand Theft Auto 5 exist at that point too?
Yes.
That's
Yeah, because Grand Theft Auto 5 was 360 and Watch Dogs released on
And
Xbox One
PS3.
also. So yeah, it had to have been
Yeah.
after GTA 5.
I think maybe a couple months or
Ooh.
yeah.
GTA 5 came before Watch Dogs.
Yeah, GTA 5 came out like a year before the
Yikes.
PS4 and 1 launched.
That's exactly it. What's your next one, Tony?
Since we're talking about disappointing open world games, Mafia 3.
Oh,
Ubisoft again strikes me.
It's not Ubisoft though. It's like 2K.
Oh, is
isn't
it 2K?
yeah, it is 2K.
Yeah. The
I
thing is,
couldn't
though,
tell. It's like the same kind of fucking game.
It really is, and I went in it knowing that, but by better judgment, it has a really good story. The story's really good. The setting's really good. It's like in the 70s,
Yeah.
and the gameplay, the gun, the mechanics, the fight, the shooting your gun and shit feels really fucking good. Like it's just bloated
Mm.
to the maximum. Like I think I'm like 20 something hours into this game, and it's just not ending, and I don't know where to go because the map's so confusing sometimes. Have no fucking clue what I'm supposed to do. Like I thought there was a few things I thought were DLC chapters or main chapters. It's just it's so directionless, and it's just the game loops the same fucking three, four missions, and I don't have much to say about it other than it's boring and disappointing. Even though the soundtrack is fucking fire because it's just a bunch of those 60s and 70s and has like Rolling Stones and shit like that.
That's
It's
cool.
just everything about it is good except the actual game itself.
Yeah, you stepped away while we were talking about Inquisition, but that game also suffers from the fetal alcohol syndrome, which is side content that isn't actually side content. It's actually main content. But yeah, that game makes you have to fucking go around and do all the dumb busy work just so that you can proceed with some of the missions, and that's where I stopped. I really loved the main character, and I know there's like a side quest where you get to fight the Ku Klux Klan. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I want to see what that shit's about, but I never got to see it because I just got so bored out of my gourd.
There's one thing where there's like I think of a cult. Like you are investigating a cult or something because you find this one girl and she's part of a cult and you and his like priest friend were the one to protect her. And you get these, at first it's like these like Charles Manson type people chasing you with knives and shit, and all of a sudden, it's just your basic enemies. Like all of a sudden, it's like the hillbilly and the mafia type guy. All of a sudden, shooting at you in the middle of this cult church. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, it makes no sense to what's going on. It's just like I said, it's just messy.
Especially after Mafia, the original Mafia, which is a fucking masterpiece. And in the remastered Mafia is a masterpiece, except for that racing match. It's like that's the worst fucking level of the whole franchise. The racing part in Mafia One is the worst mission, but
Is it still bad in the
oh,
remake?
it's fucking worse. It's somehow worse because it looks so good. You would expect it to feel better, but it doesn't.
I've been wanting to get the remakes. I have the original,
Oh,
but it's
so
just I don't feel like dealing with the I don't feel like dealing with 2001 mechanics right now. So
whenever you're gonna love playing it because they remade all the models and stuff, and they're like they mocap the actors' faces and everything, and it hits so much harder the ending of that game. Even though I knew what was happening and knew what was gonna happen, I was like I was in the fetal position on my living room floor.
It's your next one, Nave.
I'm gonna go for a game that tried to shoot for the moon. I get that was a terrible analogy. I'm talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD.
Well, that basically did. That basically did shoot for the moon. It's trying to bring back a very beloved franchise.
Well, no, that I think you're thinking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which I don't.
oh, you're talking about the
What?
you're talking about the remaster before the
Oh yeah,
remaster.
the first attempt by what is it, Robomoto, the guys who are dead now. Fucking press S to spit. Fuck those guys. They ruined my baby. They're the ones who made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, and this was the thing that they did before. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD was a recreation of the first three games, a couple of their levels, and a couple of the songs from each game, and that's it. But they didn't have the physics of the original games. And so everything felt wrong, everything felt off, but the maps felt like they were scaled correctly. So nothing felt good, like in any sense of the word, for anyone who is familiar with the original Tony Hawk games. Whenever I remembered this game, this is like the third game I came to my mind because I almost broke a controller over it because I was getting so frustrated. Because at first I was like, how could my skills have deteriorated this badly? But then I went over to a friend's house and played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, and I fucking shredded. I was killing. And so I was like, okay, so it's not me. It's this ballsack game. And that was back before I was like perpetually online. So it's like I had no real reason, I had no real like basis to understand why I was so upset at this game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD deserved the death that it got. And they shouldn't have been allowed to make Pro Skater 5, and they basically put the death nail in the franchise. And whenever Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the newest edition of it, came out, that was such an amazing breath of fresh air that I was so afraid for that I didn't pre-order. I just kind of waited on it for a while, and I was so happy that maybe this franchise would get life breathed it back into it. But then Vicarious Visions got folded into the fucking into Blizzard to help with Diablo, and Pro Skater 2, 3, and 4 got canceled. So now I'm back to being the cynical, angry, grumpy gamer that I've been known to be. Damn it.
I had no idea that was even a thing. Was that on the Xbox One and all that shit, or was that on the 360?
It was a 360 game, and it also didn't even have 1,000 gamer score. The sons of bitches.
Ew.
It had 200 or 400, something like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds right for those like smaller titles. Yeah. Well, speaking of, fuck, I don't have a good segue for this one. Speaking of smelly shit, it's Star Wars Battlefront 2, or no, Battlefront, no, whatever, Battlefront 2. I forgot to write down which one exactly, but 2 I think was the one where they overdid the fucking microtransactions, I believe, because like all of the coolest characters were locked behind a fucking paywall, and then I mean they weren't exactly all that much, but it was still, well, because you had to roll numerous fucking loot chests in order to get any semblance of a cool character or like cool anything. Give me the old Battlefront with like the third person over the shoulder view with the droidicas and rolling around and
Yeah.
force field and shooting and shit. But the first new Battlefront wasn't bad. The second one was just the one that was really fucking stupid because yeah, they overtaxed the fuck out of that goddamn thing, and it was really 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 pay to win. God damn it. Fuck that game.
What was really interesting about that was that it got the government involved with loot boxes for the first time ever. And it was the Hawaiian government, I believe. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I remember whenever I saw the video, I was working at Sonic as a cook at the time. And I remember watching it on my phone in the freezer because that's where I hid from my manager. And as soon as I watched the whole kind of press conference thing that was happening, I felt compelled to make a YouTube video. So that's one of my few YouTube videos that aren't walkthrough related or League of Legends related, was memeing on this press conference. You guys want to watch it real quick? It's only like 30 seconds long.
Okay.
For it, dude.
Here, I'll throw it in this general chat, and then we can just remove this part, and you guys could be like, ha 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 ha, that was so funny.
You'll never know what we were talking about. Fuck you YouTube pooped that fucking dude.
Yeah, did YouTube poop him? I don't know if he said that on purpose, but the funny thing was I was looking everywhere for anyone who realized that he said it's a trap, and I saw no one say it, so I was like, I need to make the YouTube video.
He had to have been whoever wrote the speech for him, because obviously he didn't write it because they never fucking write their own shit. So whoever wrote that, they knew what they were doing.
I choose to believe it.
No
I choose to believe somebody snuck it in there.
Like, I'm not even a Star Wars fan, and I'd know.
Yeah, same.
That was damn well on purpose.
That's a ye old YouTube meme, or I mean, just regular meme. I don't know why I said YouTube at the beginning of that.
Ye old. Holy shit. And by the way, we need to take an ad break. I forgot about this. We need to take an ad break. We'll be right back. Yeah, today's episode is brought to you by... We'll go with Burlap Sacks. What'd you say?
Heinz ketchup and burlap sacks.
Dude, that's a good combo right there. You can fill up those sacks with ketchup and then just fucking squish them, and it'll come out of the little perforations in the bag and everything.
Yeah.
That's... it'll ooze out of the holes. And this episode is brought to you by Ooze, everybody. Ooze is great.
You can make yourself like a beanbag chair almost.
Right.
The burlap sack's big enough.
Yeah, you could. Wait. All brands of ketchup, honestly, are good. Let's bring in some Hunt's. Is Hunt's still a thing? Do they still make ketchup?
I don't know.
I think so.
I think I've only had Heinz ketchup.
Catsup.
Or like Great Value ketchup, I'm sure that's fine. Dollar store brand ketchup. Hey, everybody. All brands of ketchup are good. We don't see brands here in Superpod Saga.
You know that Heinz make baked beans?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just typed in Heinz and I saw it there, and I was like, look at that. You can put baked beans in your burlap sack with the ketchup.
Did you know that?
You can also put in the burlap sack all these games.
That's true. Yeah, you fucking could.
Ketchup.
please put Battlefront 2, yeah, Battlefront 2 in a fucking burlap sack and just beat me over the head with it, please. Did you know that people in Scandinavia, instead of using like tomato sauce and shit like that for their spaghetti, they'll just use ketchup? Isn't that just a travesty?
I don't even really. Ketchup is just tomato syrup.
Yeah, it's sugary tomato syrup. Like it's.
I mean, in Canada they have ketchup chips. It's just exactly what you imagine it.
That'd probably be pretty
Ketchup
good though.
flavored chips.
'Cause I imagine it tastes just like dipping like salty McDonald's French fries into ketchup. That sounds pretty good.
You put ketchup on McDonald's French fries?
Yeah, man. Why wouldn't you? What else do you put on them? Fucking formaldehyde or like some embalming fluid? Just
How do you think I'm
Oh,
so
man.
young still? It's because of all the embalming fluid I eat at McDonald's. Have you seen the videos where the McDonald's is there for 8 years and it's still totally fine? That shit really does have embalming fluid in it.
dude, I wouldn't put it past them because like those little thin burger patties. I bet they could last forever. Not even frozen. They could just last forever out there in the open. Like
Isn't that wasn't like Super Size Me where like fries in from like 4 different fast food places and McDonald's is the only one that didn't get moldy?
Dude,
I
I
don't
did
know.
that shit
I
in
think-
like elementary school. We did that science experiment.
It was something like that from like Super Size Me where like they left all the food out from all these different fast food places and McDonald's is the only one that still looks like it was ready to eat.
Did they ever make a second Supersize Me? Because I volunteer as tribute. I'll do it.
the dude almost died, dude. His liver fuck. That's all I remember from the
I think
movie.
they did make a second
like
one,
heaven.
but like nobody cared.
The dude's like his liver was like failing and he gained so much weight and like he had kidney stones and shit like that. Like don't do it. Nave, don't do it. And we're back.
So, can I go a little outside the box?
Yeah, go for it.
You know what's more disappointing than a game that's disappointing?
A game that
It's when a game it gets canceled. So my choice is Mega Man Legends 3 because fuck you, Capcom, for fucking ruining such a good franchise.
Oh my god. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
a pretty long rant about this fucking game. Not only did Nave and I talk about it on the previous episode, but I also talked about it on our canceled games episode. It's the big bummer in all of bummer history.
now 50% of the episodes I've been on have had Mega Man Legends 3 come up.
We're hurting, man. You know,
He's still on the
first
moon.
one. I think the first one come out before Ocarina of Time?
I think Ocarina of Time
It
was
wasn't
a
like-
launch.
So,
Did that not launch on the N64? I was a baby back then, so I have no idea.
That's Mario 64
Oh,
launched on the
Yeah, I was thinking of
64.
Mario 64.
Ocarina of Time was like 4 years later. Let me see. I think I looked up one time and it was like this came out.
ooh, Legends
few months
came
late.
1 year first, 1 year before.
Yeah, and people gave Legends shit saying, "Oh, it's terrible. It's a poor conversion. You know, why is Mega Man 3D?" And it was actually really fucking good.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time comes out a year later. I mean, I fucking love the game. I'm a Zelda fan, but still, like, oh, and they it's nothing but praise. But I'm like, Mega Man Legends, man, it still looks great to this day. Unlike Ocarina of Time at N64, it looks like shit in comparison, because like
Mhm.
the flat 3D cell shading on Legends looks awesome. All they really had to do, if they want to release it, is upscale it and modernize the controllers, and bam, there's a re-release of Mega Man Legends. But they don't care about Mega Man or Mega Man Legends, so it's not gonna happen.
That's exactly what we said in the last episode too. Because I don't see why they couldn't have brought at least Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 to modern consoles, and I mean to kind of just gauge interest in Legends 3 and then finally make it. But I feel like maybe at this point,
These entrants, people were furious when they canceled Legends 3, and they're wasn't like a demo for it. They're supposed to release a demo, and they canceled the demo.
yeah, it's supposed to be on the 3DS.
3DS?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
this
so, like-
close to releasing the demo.
People were fucking furious, and so they know they just don't give a fuck.
I feel like at this point, with how much hype is built up behind it, it'd probably end up being even more of a bummer once it does come out. They probably just wouldn't live up to the hype because they probably just don't have like the same magic that they did back in the 90s.
Been fucking AWOL from
I
the
don't know, man.
conversation because I
They remade Resident Evil 2 and soon 4 pretty well. So I don't know why they can't do it to fucking Mega Man Legends.
I know, dude.
I've been AWOL from the conversation because I was looking up Nintendo 64 stuff, and I saw a day ago there was a thing that says Navy selects Nintendo 64 operating system for shipboard computing, and I was reading that for a while, and it took me about 3 paragraphs before I realized I was reading a satire article. So I think I'm pretty fucking stupid. It's like Windows XP is getting replaced by the Nintendo 64 operating system. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over at the Navy?
What fucking year is that?
Yesterday.
Oh, you said oh, was it an Onion article?
Yeah, it's from the Duffel blog, which I don't know.
The Duffel blog.
Sounds like a legit source. Sorry for derailing the conversation, but I had to share that with someone.
You're all good, dude. It's all good. Anything to keep us from going blind with rage about our not getting Mega Man Legends 3. He's still stuck on the fucking moon, dude.
Moon Logic.
Fucking Capcom.
I know, fucking Capcom, dude. And they skipped Xbox with the Battle Network collection.
Yeah, well now I'm angry now. Thanks for that. Now I get to share in your rage.
That's weird. I didn't know they did that. Why did they do that?
No, I don't know.
That's fucking Capcom. It's Mega Man. They probably just forgot.
I don't know. Well, all the other Mega Mans are released. God, don't get me started on this. All the other Mega Mans are released on the Xbox except for that one. And also the newest Ace Attorney trilogy got fucking skipped on Xbox too. So, I mean, like,
oh, yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
What gets me about the collections was on the PS2, I had all the Mega Mans on one disc. And then the re-release for the PS4 and 1, they fucking broke up into 2 fucking discs for no reason except to get more money from us.
That seems like a great reason. For them.
Yeah, for them.
Yeah, and they did this.
They broke up X, but the second of X is like all the worst games from X, so who cares about that? Besides the people who play games.
And like for the Switch version of the X collection, they had like the first half was on an actual cartridge, and then the second half was on like a little download code. So like,
oh, that's even fucking worse.
It's so weird, dude. I don't see why they didn't just do like one or the other for both. Like
they did it
on two carts.
They did that with the Vita, with Final Fantasy X. I remember Final Fantasy X was on the cart, and then 10-2 was not on the cart.
10-2, they did that on the Switch as well with 10 and 10-2. It's and same with Bayonetta
really
2.
Fucking weird that they do shit like
that. I think it's a limitation of the cartridge, probably.
For the Switch.
Just put the second other game
Vita,
on the cartridge.
Maybe that's understandable for the Vita, but for the fucking Switch, no, I don't think so.
I mean, they don't even have like all of Call of Duty on discs anymore. Like these fucking games are getting a little silly.
It's like with PC games. If you buy them, the disc will just have Steam on it, and then there'll be a DLC code on the back of the box.
No shit, really.
Pretty much.
I haven't bought a physical game in probably a decade.
And like in
general?
like
legitimately. I get given like those. You can see that little. There's like 10 Xbox One games on that thing back there, and then the rest are like PS3, 360 games. But all of those were just given to me. And most of them are games I already had digitally. Like Dead Rising 4 and Metal Gear Solid 5 and shit. I already had that.
I buy physical, but I buy them when it's like dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's like Ghostwire. I think I got it when the GameFly had for like $15.
Oh, I'm scared of GameFly though. I'm scared of them. I bought what was it that I bought from them? I think it was Brink from Bethesda. To speak about disappointments.
Brink, dude. Big ol' fart sound that game was.
You know what was interesting about Brink was that I hyped that game up. There's not just me, but a bunch of people in my high school were really hyped about it. And so it
was Overwatch before Overwatch, basically.
Well, it's like the parkour shit and like all of the objectives. That Brink is better than Overwatch. I'm just gonna put that out there. Brink is a better game than Overwatch. So, but Brink, like we had literal full lobbies with just people from our high school. Like we had 2 different party chats going on 360s on the Xbox 360. So we had a blast when we played that for like 2 weeks, and then we went back to Modern Warfare and Halo 3. But like for the little bit of time that we played Brink, it was really fun. And then I went back with it with like I got like the GameFly copy, and I was like, I remember this game being good. Not only are the servers, no one's playing this fucking game, the game is really not good when you're not in a full party of like of your best friends at the time. And Philip, my co-host at Gaming Together, will never let me let it down. Will never let me live it down. The how much I hyped Brink for him.
Damn it, dude.
I remember just vaguely remembering it has like a like a weird art style to it.
Yeah, it was stylized.
Or-
It kind of reminds
yeah,
me
I
of
just remember that, and it was
kind of reminds me of how Arcane kind of looks. I don't know if Arcane worked on it because I know it was a Bethesda joint, but I don't know if Arcane was like part of Bethesda at that point, or if they got made or.
I never played it. I never played it, but I worked retail at the time, and so I remember seeing the box art.
Yeah, it had a really distinct art style compared to because this was again like back when Modern Warfare was like the biggest game ever, and a lot of games like I think Medal of Honor had come out at that point, which is funny because all of those games are way more competent shooters than Brink was. But I don't know, it was different. That's what I enjoyed about it, but it's
I
not.
remember one of those games where it came out, it was hyped up, but then it was like $20 in like a month.
Brink was that. Yeah, Brink was definitely that.
Yeah. I don't remember what we were talking about, but oh yeah, we're talking about Mega Man Legends. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Oops.
Well, Nave, what you got next for us,
I
dude?
guess I snuck Brink in there. I didn't even have that on my list, but I don't even know what made me think about that. I guess we'll talk about Resident Evil 3 remake.
Oh shit.
That was actually on my list. So there we go.
So
That was my
yeah,
last one.
I mean, I guess hot take because a lot of people like that game. Philip, that was one of his first Resident Evil games, honestly. And
What?
yeah,
The remake?
yeah, he
What?
played 5 and 6, and then this one. So, he hasn't played Resident Evil 2 remake or anything.
It's 6, and he wanted to play another Resident Evil game after that.
He does. He wants to play 2 because he thinks 3 was amazing. But it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if you hadn't played the original 3, and also like even after playing Resident Evil 2, I really think that if RE3 remake came out before RE2 remake, RE3 remake would be like a better game in my eyes. But the blemishes stick out so much more because of how amazing Resident Evil 2 was, right? I'm not saying remake anymore. If I say RE2 and RE3, I'm talking about the remakes just for the listeners. But so Resident Evil 2 was a fucking masterpiece. Everyone go fucking play that game. But Resident Evil 3 was made by kind of like a B team. They were using a lot of similar assets. They had a lot of like assistance. It was a kind of more of a skeleton crew kind of thing while 2 was being refined. 3 never got that kind of polish. It came out only a year later or something like that. Like it was very very soon after RE2.
I think it was like less. I think it was less than a year later. I think it was like 8 months. Something
Yeah,
like that.
and so I've been talking a lot of shit about a lot of games. Some games that a lot of people really like. Some people that I like these games. And so I mean, it's okay to like games. This game in particular is good and serviceable. You can play this game and it's totally fine. But in the context of playing RE2 remake and then playing RE3, it's noticeable how much of a downgrade it is, especially when it comes to the polish. There are multiple times in that game where I don't know how much this has been patched or anything. I'm talking about day one when I played this. There were multiple times in the game where a zombie would be laying on the ground and I'd walk near it and then it would magnetize onto me and immediately knock me over so that was something that I was constantly struggling with. I think I still like the Watch Dogs clip I was talking about on Xbox. I think I still have a clip of Resident Evil 3 where there was a on a gurney in the hospital area. There was a zombie laying there, and I got near it, like just in the same zip code as this fucking zombie. I wasn't even standing right next to it, and it literally flew across the room like a poltergeist and grabbed me and took my ass to the ground. And it was little things like that that really kind of cemented my annoyance with the game. It's that on top of all of the cut content because it's not just going to be like bugs and stuff. I'm the bug lover. I love fucking goofy things that happen in video games. But the amount of cut content in this one, I understand because this game was just supposed to go out the door so that it could hype up Resident Evil 2 and the multiverses or whatever. But it felt a little inexcusable having some of the choices that you get in Resident Evil 3 taken away because that added a lot of replay value to the original game. And that replay value is absolutely absent. Whereas when you go back and play Resident Evil 2 remake, I've probably beaten that game like 17 times. Beat Resident Evil 3 remake once, and I was like, okay, off my hard drive. That's fine.
God damn it, that sucks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like the whole point of Resident Evil 3 was one of its main selling points, at least an original one, was Jill had to make certain choices, and that could greatly affect certain aspects of the game.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like, oh nope, not anymore. So that alone was the biggest disappointment, because that's what really set it apart from from 2, because 2 was the masterpiece of the Resident Evil at the time before 4 came out. So for them to just what made it stand out from all the other games in the series, just to remove it, as well as certain set pieces that were just completely cut from the game for no real reason.
Yeah,
I
big
think.
sad.
It's other than to rush it out because Resident Evil 2 sold gangbusters and they want to make more money.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
And the reverses thing that I don't even think it's out yet, right?
Nope.
No, the reverse. I thought 3 had the weird like dungeon master thing where you had to escape the building or something like
Which
that,
was
right?
fun. I'm gonna go on record and go, that was pretty fucking fun. But it died literally 3 days later. Literally 3 days after the game came out, I could not find a fucking match. Like, as the dungeon master, I couldn't find 4 people. I could get in a game after like 20 minutes of waiting but like when you go into queue, it was the same thing as Evolve, where it's 4v1, where the queues are so fucking unbalanced whenever you have like teams like that. You know what I mean?
I think I played one game and I had no idea what I was doing, and we all died. And I just said, "Okay."
Well, it was fun because I was the one killing you. I was like, "Good, walk in that room, you sons of bitches, die."
Since we're shitting on Capcom right now, where the fuck is like a remake of Outbreak? Because right now,
oh yeah,
would be the perfect time to have an Outbreak. Hell, fuck, Outbreak 3 should have been on the PS3 and the 360, because that's when online actually became a thing. Unlike it being unlike the Outbreak being on the fucking PS2, which nobody fucking even realized had a modem.
Yeah.
Until even if you knew how to modem, who the fuck? Even if you knew how to modem, no one I know fucking used it. I knew it was there. It's just like, okay, I also need a hard drive. No, thank you, because I don't understand that right now, because consoles don't have hard drives besides the Xbox.
Yeah, and man, Microsoft was future proofing that fucking thing, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they definitely saw the future with the Xbox, because even now it's pretty impressive when you look back at it.
Yeah, and Outbreak 2 was the one with the zombie elephants, right?
I never played Outbreak or Outbreak 2 because they're multiplayer games, and I'm not playing a fucking single player game.
I played them single player like a fucking goof. And you just had the AI being silly.
That's why I love Resident Evil, and I've always wanted to play them, but I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It's an online thing, and I don't have online, so I don't have access. Well, I had like AOL, but like I didn't really have to set up to play online the way you're supposed to. So I just said,
yeah,
they don't exist.
Yeah, it's silly too, because I didn't learn that Outbreak was supposed to be multiplayer until I was well into my adult years, and I was like, what?
Oh my!
And so it would be great to have even if you don't like, even just a port of Resident Evil Outbreak and adding multiplayer, similar to what they did with Turok 2. I'm never gonna live that down. Turok 2's multiplayer is really fun, everybody. But I would love to, or like Mega Man, Mega Man Battle Network Collection is going to have online multiplayer, and so instead of the link cable stuff, this whole style of porting old games and adding online multiplayer components, like GoldenEye as well on the Switch. Man, it would be really cool to experience Resident Evil Outbreak 2, because that's like a modern Resident Evil with tank controls, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's like instead of doing that weird dungeon master shit, just remake fucking Outbreak. That's all. You don't have to remake it. Just a spiritual successor that's exactly the same, but based in the RE2 engine or something like that. Like, just do it like that. Because I want to play it, and I can't. Well, I think people probably have custom servers now, but I don't want to go through that.
Yeah, it's like what people used to do to old Battlefront 2. The original Battlefront 2.
Not that piece of fucking shit.
But yeah, fuck Capcom for killing Mega Man Legends and for not re-releasing Outbreak.
Dude, also fuck them for not ever remastering Power Stone 1 and 2. This is a shout out to the previous episode, because I really, really want Power Stone 1 and 2 remastered. but they won't fucking do it.
Chris from 1 Hour One
That's
Decision
weird.
just randomly tweeted to remaster Power Stone also, and I'm like, everyone's fucking. He's not. I was like, I hope he didn't listen to that episode because I was shitting on it a little bit. I was like, that game looks ugly, ew, disgusting. Yeah, I was shitting on it. I was just joking mostly, but
You're like, past Nave never would have played that fucking
no,
game.
absolutely. I've seen that box. I've seen the game case before, so I absolutely saw it and was like, nah. I got Tony Hawk. Everything needs to be realistic. That's what I want.
I think it's really weird that they never re-released Power Stone. But then again, Jet Set Radio Future's forever trapped in the Xbox because Sega is pulling a Konami, is pulling a Capcom saying, "Fuck you guys, we're not porting."
I think a lot of that stuff has to be legal hell because there's a lot of games that people are trying to find the actual rights owners to a lot of different things. I don't remember what's what, but that's a serious issue with really old properties. Like
Yeah, Jet Set Radio Future has that soundtrack, but I mean,
yeah, it makes it even more complicated when licensed music.
or it's a PC without the soundtrack, and we'll add the soundtrack in ourselves. Don't worry about it, Sega.
Speaking of bullshit, we already did that fucking segue. Whatever. My last pick is Eastward because that game really fucking pissed me off.
What?
6 Waves from Sunday. Yeah. So
It
so-
looks pretty. That's all I know about
oh
it.
my god, it absolutely is pretty. I gotta set my fucking laptop down so I can bitch with 2 hands here. So
Power bitch.
yes, power stance bitch.
Oh, I saw this on a. This is on a. I was interested in it. Now, if it's that bad, I'm
Well-
not going to.
No, yeah. Let me state my case with it though. So the everything, like, it looks beautiful. The pixel art is great. Well, yeah. So yeah, the pixel art is great. The music is great. The characters are great, kind of, because the game introduces a lot of small plot points, and then immediately, well, not immediately, but like later on down the road, just pushes them off the table, like they don't fucking exist anymore. Like there's a lot of cool shit that it seems like the story is going to build up to toward the end of the game, but then it just ignores them. It's just like, oops, forgot about that.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah, it's like the ending feels like it was just like rushed just to get to the ending because like it's all right. Like it I can't say a whole lot without spoiling a bunch, but like there's like one part of the game, there's these 2 people that you live with. There's like some princess and then her like servant person, and something happens with like this big fan that's supposed to, so a recurring thing in the game is that this miasma, like this miasma just rolls over different towns and areas of the world and kills people. They don't ever explain why it does that. They bring in these like factories that artificially create people. They don't ever explain why those are there either. And then the lady I was just talking about, the princess chick, she goes into a coma for some reason. They never explain that. They show her like getting spooked by something, and she gets so spooked she goes into a coma. They never explain why. There's this main villain guy named Solomon, and he has a bunch of clones of himself. So like you see, most of the time when you see him, he's like his younger teenage self, and then you see him again as like an older guy, and then later on you see him as like a really really older guy, and they don't ever explain why the fuck he's like that. They don't really ever explain what the fuck the deal is with like who or what Sam, who is the little girl on the cover. They don't really ever explain who or what she really is. They're just kind of like, she's the mother, and then the game ends basically, and then it tries really really hard to be like a 2D Zelda game, like Link to the Past. It tries really really hard to be that because you can like.
Wait, is it like a Secret of Mana type combat or
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, because like Secret of Mana or like Link to the Past, basically, because like
Oh,
the main character John, he only ever uses like one of 4 guns or your main weapon is this frying pan, and you just swing it around and you can lay bombs, and that's pretty much it. And like the puzzles are cool, but there's a lot of times where you'll be exploring and doing puzzles and shit, and the game will like stop you and be like, hey, you have to fight these robots to proceed. And that's kind of a pain in the ass because like, let me just use my weapons and shit like that for like puzzles. Like, don't make me stop to fight the enemies. Just like put them there as like an obstacle before I can. I mean, I guess that's kind of the same thing, but like some of those encounters felt really forced, and it really fucked up the pace of the game, and it was just stupid. Yeah, I mean, give it a shot, and like within the first few hours, it seems like it's gonna build up to something fucking awesome, but then it just doesn't, and it just kind of just doesn't.
Limply
And
flops
that's
over.
I don't
Eastward,
know. I have enough
basically,
on my
dude.
plate right now that I don't really want to be disappointed any more than I already am listening to our lists.
Yeah, it was a huge bummer. Like my co-host Tommy, I basically live messaged him like everything that was happening, like every single time like something cool happened. I'd be like, "Oh, like fucking I found this factory that like artificially manufactures people," or like I would tell him like, "Oh, I gotta, there's this lady is in a coma. She's not waking up. She's the only person that can fix this like train or fan thing so we can get the fuck out of here," and all this other cool shit. And then I beat the game and I was like, oh, dumb.
Is it like set for like a sequel maybe, or is it just like they just gave up?
But the way the game ended, maybe, yeah, I could see it doing that. But like, there's a lot of stuff that they'll introduce to the plot that basically
Mm-hmm.
that just ends there. Like, it doesn't give you a reason why it ended, but it just does, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer. God damn it. And I think Dave with Tales from the Backlog, he also agreed based off of his tweets. But before I forget, there were two good parts about Eastward. One was the cooking system because, as anybody knows, like if you've listened to our show, you know that I'm a fucking huge sucker baby boy for cooking mechanics. That shit is, I love that shit. And you can combine like different ingredients to make different cool foods and shit like that. And that's awesome. And there's this like game within the game that's basically like a Dragon Quest clone, and you can recruit different characters and go beat the boss. Be like a certain amount of time to do it, and that's that game. Little game was pretty sweet, but yeah, that's it.
Also play Omori. At first, I was going to talk about Omori
Yeah.
because I thought that this was a JRPG. Because this
Wait,
game looks
what?
like Earthbound, the Eastward game, kind of. So I was like, this looks
Yes,
like
Mm.
that's what
it's
was
going to
that.
be a JRPG. But
Dude, Omori's so good.
yeah, yeah.
That was one of my favorite games of last year.
Did you beat Omori?
Fuck yeah, I
I
did,
did
dude.
not.
I think three or four endings to the game, and I mean, obviously I got one because I beat it, but I haven't done the other ones yet.
The problem with Omori is that there's a game breaking bug. As far as I'm aware, it's on every single platform you can play it on. It's just built into the code of the game. But if you play, I think if you play for too long is the problem, where it will eradicate your file and like revert you. So I was like 60 hours into the game, and of course I'm like exploring and doing
Shit.
everything. You know what I mean? I'm pretty far into the game,
Yeah,
and then it reverted me to a save that was 13 hours in. I've lost so much progress, and there was
that's
no
bullshit.
way I was gonna fucking do it again. So I might go back to it, but I'm
Didn't
still angry.
didn't like one of the Elder Scroll games do that too, where like if uh if you played so many hours, your save file just won't work anymore. It got corrupted.
Well, I don't
Not
know.
sure.
That sounds like a Morrowind thing.
Yeah, I think that was like on the PS3, something like that. Like
Oh,
you play for X amount of hours, your save file would get corrupted for whatever reason because that generation just like fucking you.
well, yeah, that's it, everybody. Those are all the most disappointing games of all time. There are no other games that disappoint. But if you do happen to find ones you missed, you can email us, I guess, superpodsaga@gmail.com if you want. You can hit up our website, superpodsaga.com. But Tony, where can people find you and your podcast if they want to talk to you about disappointing games?
Once again, the name of my podcast is PlayStation Rumble. We're available on, I think at this point, almost all of the or most known podcast providers. Is that what they're called?
I think so. Podcast platforms, I think.
I guess, yeah, I guess that's the name, whatever the case may be. We're also on YouTube, which is basically I occasionally upload things to it.
Right.
You can also follow us on Twitter at PS Rumble, and yeah, give us a follow, give us a shout out, and listen to us. It's a good time.
Oh yeah. What about you, Dave?
We're at Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Game Together Pod. Find us on Instagram at Gaming Together Podcast, and Yep, that's really it.
Right on. Well, yeah, that's it. That's Super Pod Saga. That's also PlayStation Rumble and Gaming Together. I guess I'll plug the Patreon as well too. Yeah, feel free to drop us $2, $4, $6 a month. That'll help the show in more ways than you can imagine. I'll show up at your doorstep just bawling and thanking you over and over and over. But that is it, everyone. Everybody say goodbye.
Peace.
Goodbye.